I transmigrated into a book and became a beautiful passerby in the story. And my elder brother is the only normal person among the characters that appear in the text. Because his character design is the abstinent, aloof, and male white moonlight that the delicate female lead can't conquer. When the female lead confessed to him in tears, he was studying. When the female lead said she would give herself completely to him, he was starting a business. When the female lead degenerated and lingered among the flowers, he had already become successful and earned hundreds of billions a year. I thought he would live a life of pure heart and few desires. Until one midnight, I accidentally saw him holding clothes that looked familiar to me. The name he repeated over and over again was extremely familiar. My name is Jowie Jowie. I am just an ordinary female college student. Unexpectedly, I died suddenly from staying up late reading novels and transmigrated into a beautiful passerby with the same name. The female lead is a transmigrator with a system. Her task is to make my elder brother become her admirer. Only by indulging in debauchery with her every day can she return home. But my elder brother only has career in his heart and no love. No matter what tricks the female lead uses, he will keep her at a distance. So the ending is that the female lead can only stay in this world and continue her happy life. Alas! This is the XDH time I sighed. The female lead doesn't sleep day and night. After all, her body structure is special. But as her roommate, I suffer. You across the dining table frowned and finally asked, "What's wrong?" The bed in the dormitory is extremely uncomfortable. Can I go home and live? Elder brother? You frowned even deeper. It can be seen that he is very conflicted and reluctant. It's not strange that he is reluctant. After I transmigrated, I have the memory of this body in my mind. The original owner was adopted from the orphanage by Yu's parents, but they died in a car accident very early. There are only you and the original owner left in the family. The original owner had other thoughts about her elder brother. After many unsuccessful attempts at seduction, she even gave him drugs. Since then, you sent the original owner to school and only gave her money and didn't care about her anymore. I blinked my starry eyes and tried to make myself look innocent and pitiful. Then I raised 3 fingers and swore, "Please, elder brother. I was just simply ignorant before. I promise that when I live at home, I won't enter your room or study even half a step." Seeing that he didn't seem to believe me, I added another sentence. "And I already have a boy I like." You stared at me for a few seconds. His eyes were pitch black and deep. It seemed that he was thinking about the credibility of what I said. Finally, he said faintly, and agreed. I was overjoyed. Finally, I don't have to be tortured by the female lead and can't sleep every day. I live in a small house a little far from school with my elder brother. Because it is still his startup stage, our family is still quite poor. My home is far from school. There is no bus stop where we live. And it's even harder to take it taxi. So you sends me back to school every day. There aren't many classes in college. I go home by myself every day. Now I am not in the same dormitory as the female lead and I am not majoring in the same subject. She also doesn't know that I am Yu's younger sister. So I basically won't meet her at school. I find that there are still more normal people in this world. Now I just need to be a slacker. Wait until you become successful and turns into a rich person. Then I can be a young lady at ease. When I was secretly playing with my mobile phone in the back row of a professional class, King, the best friend of the original owner, suddenly sent a message. The content was asking if I would go to a social gathering. Then I remembered that a climax in the original book was that the female lead was here playing with 3 high-quality men. This is a live broadcast. Of course, I want to go. The location is set in the largest bar in the city. Shang, the second generation rich in our major, reserved the whole place. Of course, he is one of the 3 high-quality men. I immediately sent a message to you. Elder brother, I am having a gathering with my little sisters today. You don't need to wait for me to come home at night. There was no reply from there. I didn't care either. Although I have been living with him day and night these days. He has always been indifferent to me. Just let him know that I am still alive. Today, I only have classes in the morning. I went home and changed into a hot girl skirt, and put on a scheming pure makeup. When I stood in front of the mirror, the person in the mirror had a curvy figure and delicate and smooth skin. She could be said to be extremely beautiful. When I arrived at the bar, there were almost X people inside. I didn't miss the amazement that flashed in everyone's eyes when they saw me. A group of people quickly arranged for me to sit down. After sitting there and chatting for a while, the female lead finally arrived late, staggering and with a flushed face. Following behind her were 3 men. One was the school's campus heartthrob. One was a young finance professor Zhe Chuan. And the other was Zhang, the organizer of this event. Yuan Zhe Chuan sat on the left and right of the female lead. Zhang didn't sit next to her. He sat leisurely opposite the female lead, and looked at the 3 people sitting very close. I was still thinking why he wasn't jealous at all. Then I found that he was flirting with the female lead via text message. The female lead suddenly blushed, immediately attracting the attention of the 2 guardians on the left and right. A campus heartthrob asked her carefully, "Are you not feeling well?" The female lead lowered her head and said, "A little uncomfortable." Sang curled his lips and smiled. At the right time, he also said, "Let me help you go upstairs and rest." After saying that, he helped the female lead walk upstairs. Yuan Zhe Chuan glanced at each other and then followed. Damn it. I really want to eavesdrop. King was sitting next to me and cursed in a low voice, "Vixen." I suddenly remembered that there was a plot of drugging in the original text. It should be done by King, because she has had a crush on Zhe Chuan for many years. But in his heart, there is only the female lead. This time she succeeded in drugging. Later, Zhe Chuan will give her double the dose of drugs and let her fend for herself. Anyway, the ending is quite tragic. But when I think that whenever there is something delicious in the dormitory, she is always the first to give it to me, and whenever there is any news, she is also the first to tell me. I can't just watch her end up like in the book. I leaned close to her ear and whispered, "I think Zhe Chuan is too old. If you compare, it's better to find a young handsome guy." She seemed a little puzzled and repeated my words. "Young handsome guy?" I glanced around and casually pointed to a cute-looking young guy sitting in the corner. "I think he is quite good. There are plenty of good men everywhere. Why cling to one flower?" King looked in the direction I pointed. Unexpectedly, she was quite obedient. She nodded in agreement and said, "Good." Immediately, she led me to sit next to the young handsome guy. As soon as we sat down, the young handsome guy blushed and introduced himself. "Hello, sister. My name is Xiao." We smiled and shook hands with him in response. He was so innocent that his earlobes turned completely red just from shaking hands. King winked at me and signaled with an expression that only the 2 of us could hear. When young, we don't know how good younger guys are, mistaking older guys for treasures. I nodded in agreement. It seemed that she didn't like you that much, so she changed her target. The name Xiao hasn't been heard in the original text, so he should not be affected by the female lead. So I was relieved. At this time, almost everyone had arrived. So someone suggested playing the king's game. The girl who drew the king card shook the card in her hand and said, "The girl who draws the king card designates the person who draws X and X to have a French kiss." Originally, I was thinking of sneaking away, after playing 2 rounds to go upstairs and eavesdrop. I flipped over my card. "Oh my. It's me." Xiao X to me stammered when he spoke. I am X. This won't do. A friend's wife. Oh no. A friend's husband can't be bullied. I quickly picked up my glass. "For us. Let's just drink." Xiao nodded in agreement. Yes. Everyone else sighed and said we were boring. Qing seemed very happy. She filled our glasses with wine. I raised my eyebrows at her. "Joking. I can't snatch the person my good sister likes. I didn't expect this body to be so unable to drink. After just 3 glasses, I was already dizzy. Xiao next to me was even more drunk. His face was like a red butt. It was a little funny. I involuntarily pinched his face with my hand. His eyes were red. Suddenly, he whimpered. Sister. I suddenly felt extremely hot and had a tingling sensation like an electric shock. I couldn't help leaning towards him. I was really uncomfortable. I tried my best to control myself. I turned and grabbed King's arm. King. I seemed to be drunk. King didn't speak. Instead, Xiao beside me spoke first. Sister. Let me take you upstairs to rest. The music was so loud that it hurt my ears. I thought that since he was also drunk, we could go upstairs and rest together. So I said, okay. He also walked unsteadily and helped me walk upstairs trembling lie. When we were halfway up the stairs, I suddenly stepped on empty air. My body was swaying and about to fall. Just when I thought I was going to fall, I fell into a familiar and warm embrace. I only felt extremely hot. But why was Xiao so cool? I couldn't help but keep burrowing into his arms. Xiao picked me up horizontally. His body temperature was transmitted through his clothes. I could even feel the undulating muscle lines. Perhaps because of drinking, I was also restless. My hand dangled by my side, and I deliberately didn't hug him. He freed one hand and put my hand around his neck. Hold on tight. Hearing this, I looked up and was just very close to his lips. Under the influence of alcohol, I couldn't help it and kissed him. His lips were ice cold. The 2 lips touched and then separated. I only felt my head getting dizzier. That person held me and sat in the car. In the small and closed space, the air felt even hotter. But he held me down and wouldn't let me move. Obviously, his breathing was rapid. I said this person was quite double standard. I suspected he had asthma. As I listened to his breathing getting heavier and heavier, he hugged me even tighter. His tones seemed to be a compromise. This is really deadly. Jowie. He lowered his head and kissed me again. Lips touched and breaths intertwined. I was about to respond when he suddenly stopped. I narrowed my eyes and wanted to continue. Suddenly, I felt a cold wind and couldn't help shivering. It turned out that we got out of the car. He walked very quickly. I just wanted to lean over and kiss his lips. But I was pressed in his arms and scolded. Don't move. His tone was harsh. I was so scared that I didn't dare to move. After a while, there was a slap sound of a door closing. Suddenly, I was pushed against the door. He blocked my lips again. I felt like a fish about to drown. Unable to resist. For a moment, I felt that the person in front of me had turned into you. Elder brother. He took a heavy breath. It seemed that he was grinding his teeth. Vic's in. I slept until late in the morning. When I wanted to stretch, I felt aches all over my body. I was lying in my own room, piecing together the sporadic memories of last night, and couldn't help blushing. I roughly guessed that King didn't drug Xia Chaichuan, but thinking that what I said meant I had taken a fancy to Xiao. She instead drugged me and Xiao. But I didn't expect that Xiao, who looked so innocent, was so duplicitous. Suddenly remembering the scenes of last night, I could only say that it was worthy of being in the story. But I brought someone home. You would probably be angry and drive me away. Right? After all, he is a super clean freak. Doing that kind of thing at his home. He didn't drive us away last night. It was already extremely kind. I changed into a piece of clothing that could cover my whole body and tiptoed out of the room. He was sitting on the sofa. There was no trace of last night. Xiao was not there either. I was still hesitating on how to start when the person on the sofa called me first. Come here. I took a deep breath and walked over gently. Do you feel uncomfortable on your body? Hearing this, my face flushed immediately. No more uncomfortable. The meal is on the dining table. Go and have some first. I stood there hesitating for a few seconds. Aren't you angry? Elder brother. You seemed very happy. The corners of his mouth were curved upward when he spoke. Don't drink at such gatherings outside in the future. I will accompany you from now on. It seemed that he was really not angry. So I went to eat. As soon as I turned on my phone, it was bombarded by King. You actually called me several voice messages last night. There was also a friend request. It was from Xiao. I simply replied to King and passed Xiao's friend request. A message came quickly from there. I'm sorry. Sister. I didn't expect my drinking capacity to be so poor. I blacked out after just a little. Can I invite sister to have a meal today to make up for it? This little handsome guy has a quite big contrast. Yesterday he still forced me to call him elder brother. Now he starts calling me sister again. Sis. Ter? You didn't know when he appeared behind me. His tone was full of gritted teeth. Is he the boy you like? You should have seen him last night. Since I brought him home. If I said no, it would seem that I was too fickle. I really wanted to develop a relationship with him. So I nodded and admitted it. Jowie Jowie. He took a deep breath. Who was the man with you last night? You rarely got so angry. I shrank back. It's him. Elder brother. Then I paused for 2 seconds and explained. He is a good person. You stared at me without speaking. But the bulging veins on his arm showed his extremely bad mood now. Those black eyes stared at me without blinking. As if accusing me of being a fickle woman. I thought he wouldn't care about me. I didn't expect that he still cared about me quite a lot. Is he taller than me? More handsome than me? Smarter than me? Or what? Does he like younger ones? Listening to this, I sighed in my heart. Sure enough. Elder brothers always compare the men their sisters like with themselves. He can't compare to you in anything. I can't be with you anyway. Right? I muttered in a low voice. You probably didn't hear clearly because he had already slammed the door and gone back to his room. I picked up my phone and replied to Xiao. Okay. Why not today? The other side seemed very surprised and typed a series of exclamation marks. Then let's meet at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I will pick up sister then. I was a bit tired last night. I needed to take a nap to replenish my energy. But I forgot to set the alarm clock. Unexpectedly. When I woke up, it was almost 4 o'clock. When I turned on my phone, Zhao sent a message half an hour ago. Sister doesn't need to deliberately dress up. I will wait for sister downstairs. I quickly ran to the window and looked downstairs. Xiao was really standing there. Obviously. He had dressed up carefully. His ears were red. He was holding a bouquet of flowers in his hand and murmuring something. The younger brother is so cute. Although the way of expressing is really old-fashioned. Now I finally know what those college couples were thinking before. Coupled with last night. He really knows how to handle me. Mon, I'm going to fall in love. I quickly went to get ready. I put on makeup as quickly as possible. I wore a white waist-cinching dress to match his clothes and curled my hair. Where are you going? You didn't know when he came out of the room again and stood behind me. Looking me up and down. He seemed extremely dissatisfied. Didn't you see it this morning? We've only known each other for a few days. Are you going out alone today? There are many people with ulterior motives in society. He paused again, especially those who deceive beautiful girls like you. You'd better. I put my hand on my forehead. Can the iceberg elder brother from before come back? I smirked and interrupted his words. Elder brother. If you keep talking, I won't date him and date you instead. You was probably afraid that I would really do this. So he didn't speak anymore. But his eyes were strange. But I couldn't tell what was strange. It was like considering the possibility in my words. I put on my shoes. Goodbye. Elder brother. When I ran downstairs, I was already 1 minute late. I'm sorry. Sorry. Have you been waiting for a long time? Xiao's eyes looking at me were bright. He shook his head like a little dog. No. It's natural for girls to be late. Then he didn't move. So I looked behind him. Is the flower for me? Yes. Yes. Saying that, he hurriedly handed me the flowers. I always felt that there was something strange. I always felt that he wasn't as tall as yesterday. There was no sense of strength. Some pictures flashed. I suddenly blushed again. Damn it. Why is my mind full of such useless thoughts? I took the flowers. Xiao rode a bicycle. I was just about to sit on the back seat when a voice sounded from behind. Jowie, Jowie. I'll take you there. Elder brother was also very strange. Usually he dressed simply like an immortal in the sky. Now he was dressed up like a peacock courting. The abstinent and otherworldly face bared with this outfit. No wonder the original owner drugged him before. If I had been living with him for so long, I would have probably couldn't help but pounce on him. But now, I just hope he doesn't disturb my date. The little handsome guy became nervous. Sister? I quickly comforted him. Let me introduce. He is my elder brother. Xiao immediately showed us and her date-toothed smile. Hello. Elder brother. Yu's eyes seemed to be staring through people, not a biological elder brother. I glared at Yu. This person seemed to deliberately not want my date to succeed. I quickly followed Yu's words, but better than a biological elder brother. I pulled Xiao and wanted to leave first. I was afraid that Yu would say something else. But I was pulled back. Despite my struggle, Yu pulled me into his car. Xiao also followed. He didn't even realize that the atmosphere was wrong. He even excitedly reported the name of the restaurant. He also sent me a message on WeChat. Sister, I know that elder brother is not satisfied with me. I will definitely make him agree to let me be your boyfriend today. He is really. I'm so touched. But Yu's aura was really too low, which made Xiao not dare to say a word. When we arrived at the restaurant, Xiao had already ordered the dishes. I didn't know what was wrong with Yu. He seemed to be really afraid that I would be abducted. Xiao peeled shrimps for me. He took a plate of shrimps away, peeled them and even arranged them into a flower, and put it in front of me. Xiao picked up dishes for me. He directly took away my bowl and chopsticks and fed me one bite at a time. So that when we walked out of the restaurant, what the waiter said was wishing Yu and me 100 years of happiness. I had a faint bad guess. Could it be that Yu was jealous? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. And Xiao looked a little lonely. After all, when dating, being told that the dating partner would have 100 years of happiness with someone else. So I suggested going to an amusement park. In fact, before coming here, I had never been to an amusement park. When I was a child, my mother thought that the amusement facilities inside were too expensive, and there was no need to play. When I grew up, I had no desire to go. Whenever I wanted to get closer to Xiao, Yu would insert himself between us. Unable to bear it anymore, so I suggested going to play escape rooms. I am a high-level player of escape rooms and I am not afraid at all. At that time, I will take Xiao and leave you behind. They had no objections to my choice. So I picked the scariest escape room. We were blindfolded and entered. Inside was a completely dark and closed environment. Soon there was a sound. It was a monster holding a big saw. I grabbed Xiao and ran in the opposite direction of the monster. We ran into a cabinet in a room and hid. The cabinet space was very small. We were almost close to each other. Suddenly the cabinet was hit. I directly threw myself into the man's arms. The man held me and protected me in his arms. Unconsciously, pictures of that night flooded into my mind. Perhaps it was because the cabinet space was too small, and the air was thin. Both of us were breathing a little quickly. Suddenly something hit the cabinet. Thinking that the monster had caught up, I even tensed up. Unexpectedly, what sounded was the affected female voice. What if we are found? And a male voice responded to her. It won't happen. I recognized the girl's voice. It was the female lead. Damn it. I suddenly thought of the cartoon I loved to watch when I was a child. A little girl, a jumping tiger and a bear wearing a red sweater. And their eternal opening line, anytime, anywhere. At this time, it was not good to act rashly. So we had to pretend to be dead. The escape room was already very dark. Inside the cabinet, it was pitch black. And once people lose their sight, the perception ability of other organs will be infinitely magnified. It was really embarrassing. I just looked up and was about to say something to ease the atmosphere, when my lips directly touched the man's lips. The air was silent for 3 seconds. I silently moved my head back. As soon as the two lips separated, my head was pressed down and an aggressive kiss poured down. I closed my eyes and felt carefully. Even when the people outside the cabinet had left, we didn't notice. I don't know how long it had passed. We were still kissing forgetfully. Suddenly the cabinet door was opened. At this time, I was still soft in the man's arms. "Sister." This voice. I quickly opened my eyes. Looking up, I bumped into Yu's peach blossom eyes full of lust. For a moment, my mind was in a mess. But today's feeling was exactly the same as that night. So, I pushed away the person in front of me and didn't care about Xiao. I ran back home by myself. In fact, since I came here these days, I really regarded you as my elder brother. Since I got back home, I stayed in my room and didn't go out. I didn't even take my phone. I sat on the bed alone, and thought about how to deal with my relationship with you in the future. No wonder you was so strange this morning. When he knew that I was going out with Xiao, he still had an expression of catching an adulterer. I fell asleep while thinking. I woke up in the middle of the night because I was thirsty. So I got up to find water to drink. When passing by Yu's room, I found that the door was ajar and there was a faint light in the room. It seemed that my name was being called inside. "Jowie, Jowie." My footsteps stopped. "Wouldn't you also be unable to sleep because of our relationship?" It sounded like he was also very sad. I made up my mind that it was better to make it clear to him. After all, he was the only relative I had in this world. I pushed the door open. "Elder brother." I was scared by the scene in front of me. In the dim room where our eyes met, Yu's cold and abstinent image completely collapsed. I quickly ran back to my room and locked the door. If I wasn't wrong, what he was holding in his hand was the clothes that I couldn't find many days ago. I didn't sleep all night. Fortunately, you didn't come to find me either. I couldn't judge whether my feelings for him were love. Before this, I really regarded him as my elder brother for a period of time. Finally, I made a decision. The next day, Yu was indeed not at home. During this period, it was a critical time for his business startup and he couldn't spare time. I packed all the things I needed, borrowed money from King, and directly went abroad to study. Fortunately, I was an English major before I transmigrated, and the original owner had also passed IELTS. I went to a relatively remote city. It was probably impossible to find me. Although escape is shameful, it is useful. I changed all my contact information. The only person who could contact me should be King. I stayed abroad for 3 whole years. Even though I didn't pay much attention to the domestic situation, Yu's reputation was already known to everyone. As written in the book, Yu was very successful in starting a business. Now his net worth can't be measured by money. And I am now also a translator with a little reputation. On the night before I was about to return to China, his interview was playing on TV. In 3 years, he didn't change much. He even added a few more points of abstinence. The host asked, "I want to ask an aside. Mr. Qi is so handsome. Are you still single?" Yu smiled and answered, "No. I will get married soon." My heart suddenly sank. Yes, he is no longer the abstinent man written in the book. In 3 years, I have already recognized my heart. I just like him. But I am also a stubborn person. Once I make a decision, I can't turn back. If he wants to find me, it would be easy for him with his strength. But in 3 years, he really didn't look for me. I am really sick. What am I pretending to be sad about now? He didn't say who his marriage partner was. There were discussions on the internet. The person that everyone guessed the most was our OU. Our OU was the only woman who appeared by his side during his business startup. In fact, I wasn't surprised. After all, she is the female-led. The female-led with a system. No one can escape her. Let alone you who has broken his precepts. Although, I am very unhappy. For you. She is just a tool to go home. I officially returned to China. Because there is a super big order to be negotiated where I am now. And the company on the other side specifically asked me to do the translation. If this deal is negotiated, I won't have to work for a whole year. And the place set by the other party is just next to the office building where I used to live with you. Of course. I didn't dare to go back to that home either. I found a hotel to stay, and went to the place early the next day. Unexpectedly. The people from the other company came even earlier. In the huge conference room, I looked at you sitting in the center. When I saw him, my heart missed a beat. His eyes were like a deep pool, making people unconsciously fall into them. I opened my mouth but didn't say a word. I didn't know what words to use to start. I didn't know what I should call him now. Sorry. I'll go to the bathroom. I stood in front of the mirror, and took a few deep breaths. He was just the client. Not anyone else. I couldn't bring personal emotions to work. I was still brainwashing myself and didn't notice that there was someone standing behind me. Reuniting with me makes you quite nervous. That familiar feeling instantly surrounded me. I held my breath and turned around. Mr. He, this is the women's bathroom. I haven't seen you for 3 years. Don't you even call me elder brother? He took a step forward. And I took a step back. But behind me was the sink. There was no way to retreat. He put his hands on the sink and surrounded me. But it's okay. I don't really like this address. Yu's eyes were filled with complex emotions. Staring at my face. It was like looking at a treasure that was found again. He buried his head in my neck and rubbed gently. Little heartless one. You really don't miss me at all. I pushed him away. Mr. Key, since you are going to get married, even if you are my elder brother, you should keep a good distance. I turned and left first. I admit that I am a deserter. After such a long time, I still solve problems by escaping. When I went back, the people from my company had also arrived. I sat next to them. You came late and sat in the main seat. Without even using me to translate. He directly talked to my leader in fluent English. Joey comes to work in my company. The original order price for you will be doubled. My boss didn't even give me a glance. The two sides signed the contract. Instantly, I became Yu's person. I didn't quite understand what he did. After everyone else left, Yu asked me, Joey, do you want to go home and have a look? I hesitated for a moment and nodded. However, I didn't expect that after 3 years, you still lived in that small house. I walked into my room. It was no different from 3 years ago. And it could be seen that it was often cleaned. You made a table of my favorite dishes. It seemed like I had returned to the days when I just transmigrated. At that time, you still ignored me. But I was a chatterbox, and always talked to him nonstop. We seemed to have opened our hearts. You poured a glass of wine for each of us. The wine was sweet and delicious and not easy to get drunk. I liked it very much. But after you drank only 1 glass, his face looked very abnormal and was flushed. How could Yu's drinking capacity be so poor? Even I wasn't drunk. Was he sick? I touched his forehead with the back of my hand. His forehead wasn't very hot. But his cheeks were very red. I was just about to pull my hand back, when it was held by you and put on his cheek and rubbed gently. Like a big dog begging for its master's favor. I quickly pulled my hand back. You squinted his eyes and lay on the chair. Joey, love me. I was shocked by his words. What kind of trick was this? I looked down at the glass of wine. There were some white powders stained on the bottom of the glass. You drugged yourself? Yes. No. Even if you want to drug someone, it should be me. Right? Who would drug their own cup? I can't force you. Then what are you trying to do now? I want Joey to love me. Before I could answer, I was pulled into his arms. Last time I helped Joey Joey. This time it's considered paying back. After saying that, overwhelming kisses fell. When I woke up again, it was already noon the next day. Absurd. Too absurd. Ba ba ba. Scheming man. I sat up supporting my waist. You came in with a beaming face and holding breakfast. Joey Joey. Replenish your strength. I turned my head to one side. This was my last resistance. Don't you want to eat? Do you want to do something else? Forget it. Anyway, I can't oppose him. Don't ask for trouble. After eating, you massaged me. I still ask the question in my heart. I saw your interview before I returned to China. Jealous? I got angry all of a sudden. He slept with me and then was going to marry another woman? He spoke before me again. Then do you want to marry me? Joey Joey? You should know that I will only marry you. I buried my head in the quilt. You will only marry me. But I don't have to marry you. Joey Joey. You set my photo as your wallpaper and stick it at home. Do you still want to marry someone else? You went to find me. You bent down and gently kissed my forehead. How could I rest assured to let you stay abroad alone? Moreover, how could I bear not seeing you for 3 years? His eyes were gentle and affectionate. There was a strong and passionate love like the sea surging in his eyes. I cried and cried so hard that you couldn't coax me well for the whole morning. You said that he would start over and pursue me again. So he would send me a bouquet of flowers every day, and surprise me from time to time and tolerate all my petty tempers. I was still very unhappy. Obviously he was the one chasing me. Why could he kiss and hug me whenever he wanted? I complained to him. You just hugged me and kissed me again. If you agree and become my wife, won't I listen to you in the future? I thought what he said made sense, and I agreed immediately. As a result, on the first night of our marriage, he held my waist and kissed my lips. Wife. Now I am legal. The end. Epilogue. You. My younger sister has a different shell. But it doesn't matter. She likes the food I cook and likes to talk nonstop in my ear. Why is she so noisy? Gradually she occupies all of my life. No, she is all of me. There is light in her eyes. My world is no longer just boring study and work. She always wears her suspender nightdress and wanders around at home. She doesn't know that just the exposed shoulder can make my throat tighten. She always calls me elder brother sweetly, causing my dreams at midnight to be full of her voice. I am really bad. Even the clothes that Joey Joey hangs to dry in the bathroom are fatally attractive to me. I secretly took them away. She said she was going to a gathering with her sisters and didn't come back until evening. She didn't answer the phone or reply to the message. When I found her, she was in a boy's arms. I suddenly remembered that she said she had a boy she liked. She was drugged. I took her home. I am not a good person originally. Of course. I will take advantage of the situation. It's better to be with me than with that little white-faced guy. When Joey Joey wakes up, she is so kind that she will definitely be responsible for me. There is only that man in her heart. Even though they just met. She mistook me for him. Sure enough. In the escape room, Joey Joey mistook me for him again. At that time, I thought in my heart that it would be better to be a bad person who intervenes in other people's feelings. She ran home. She doesn't like me. My mind is full of her. In the middle of the night, I was caught doing bad things. She doesn't know that that sound of elder brother almost killed me. But my company has just started to thrive recently. Joey Joey is so delicate. She wants only the best in everything. I didn't expect that she would run away. I started to work day and night and then squeezed out time to find her. In the 3rd month after Joey Joey left, I found her. I came to see her from time to time without ever letting her find out. If she leaves again, I really won't be able to find her. You told me everything, but I don't care what this world is like. But she arranged an interview for me, and said that I could know Joey Joey's feelings for me. Unexpectedly. I can really get what I want. She will call my name softly and secretly come to the company to surprise me. She will think of me first no matter what she does. Jowie Jowie and I still have a long future ahead.